Thank you. All right. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me with a mic? Awesome. Amazing. I'm Francesco, co-founder and CEO of Almanax. And we're going to talk about some vibe coding today, and specifically security in the age of vibe coding. And so today, this is actually my third Meridian. I've been to Madrid one, London, and we've not been at the beach yet, but I'm glad the conference center is next to it. So welcome, everybody. I'm talking about security in the age of vibe coding today. And specifically, I want to start talking about what Almanax is and why security today is even more of a bigger problem in blockchain. And so Almanax is building a platform of AI agents to specifically address one of the biggest problems in blockchain still today, which is security. We are a team of 7 based in New York, and I spent personally the previous 4 years before starting Almanax a year and a half ago investigating crypto hacks. At another, actually, stellar ecosystem company called Unchained AI. And while I was there, we investigated hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars of exploits. We did a lot of work with law enforcement agencies and obviously hacked protocols. And in many cases, some of these exploits could have been prevented with better security processes and better security tooling within the organization. My co-founder was at Coinbase and has a past in cybersecurity as well. He was at a company called Obsolete, which ended up being acquired. They were doing runtime security work. And then we brought on board people from the blockchain ecosystem, from Circle, Fireblocks. We have Kara here, who comes from TrailBits and Informal Systems, and AI researchers from MIT. And we're building this AI platform of AI agents that reason like a security researcher would. Today, security tools look for fingerprints of things that have happened in the past, and they end up missing a lot of things. And what we're aiming at doing is really extinguish software exploits. Obviously, a big vision and mission, and it's going to take a lot of time to do. But if you think about today, the blockchain ecosystem, a hack is catastrophic. You're not stealing data. You're stealing. There's money at the protocol level, and so you're stealing money directly. And transactions that are not really reversible. Well, there's been a few cases recently of transaction being reversed. We can argue that it's good or bad, but the issue that happens with blockchain is you have open source code most of the time, so everybody can go and poke. So we built this platform that detects, triages, and patches security vulnerabilities using multiple AI agents, with specifically an AI agent that is tailored for Stellar, that is being customized for Sorbonne smart contracts, for wallet infrastructure for Stellar. And it kind of really reasons through code like a security engineer would. You can see some of the assumptions that these AI agents make as they go through a code base that they've never seen before. They really look like assumptions that a security engineer would make. We plug into existing workflows, so we don't just do a one-time scan of a code base, what we're calling audits, right, in the ecosystem, that are just one point in time type of checks, but we plug it into CI/CD pipelines, and so we scan PRs every time new code is pushed or committed. And we also provide patches. So it's not just a detection things that we do, but we help the remediation lifecycle. We've been working quite a bit with stellar projects in the ecosystem. I see some folks in the audience also with security teams runtime verification. And KoalaPay in the ecosystem as well is used as for SOC 2 compliance. Axel, who I don't see, but I know they're here as well. And you know, Privy is an example of like a company that is using us now as part of like their entire like security workflows. And so we integrate in their like PR review process, and we scan every PR every time like they're pushing code, which is leading to like us actually scanning millions of lines of code every week and identifying issues that like some of their engineers like are missing. And so one of the fun things that we did last year was actually identifying a security vulnerability in one of Vitalik's smart contracts, which was fun because like a few months before he talked about security like and bugs in code being one of the biggest issues in blockchain still. And then a few months later we publicly found something on Farcaster in one of these smart contracts. But I want to get to some of this is kind of like brief introduction on Almanacs. I want to specifically talk about some of the issues that we're seeing like today that change some of the ways that we should approach security. And I don't know if you saw the tweet that Brian Armstrong, like the CEO of Coinbase, released like just a few weeks ago that was very controversial on Twitter. He was saying that, controversial quote unquote, but he was saying that 40% of all the code that Coinbase writes is AI generated, and they're aiming to push that number to 50% plus within like I think before the end of the year. And so we effectively enter like the age of vibe coding, where organizations are producing most of their code with AI that oftentimes is like kind of sloppy. And oftentimes we spend more time debugging than actually producing. And Cursor, which I'm sure many of you guys have used in the past or still use, just a few months ago, they were producing a billion lines of code a day. And to put that into perspective, like the old world produces like a few billion lines of code like a day. And so like a significant portion of like code is produced by AI today. And that number is only going up from here. I don't see a future where we're going back to the usual way of doing software engineering. But that expands significantly the attack surface, because the volume of code is exploding, so that attack surface is also exploding. And traditional security tools, from static analysis to dynamic analysis, like they're not up to date with these like age of vibe coding. A lot of like the reviews and a lot of like the functioning behind this, the process behind like static analyzers are around going and looking for fingerprints, looking at CVE databases of things that have happened in the past already. And so we do this matching of, hey, I have this line of code that I need to get checked, and like the static analyzer goes and looks at like fingerprints and says, hey, this is similar, I'm going to give you an alert. And so that ends up producing thousands of alerts for organizations that security teams need to go and triage. So like need to go and define or classify as like true positive or like a false positive, or yes, this we should fix, this we shouldn't be fixing. And a lot of like these like alerts actually get pushed to the engineering team, which end up like frustratingly saying, hey, we can't patch all this. We have like a whole roadmap of new features that we want to produce, that we want to build. This is going to take like way too much time. We can't patch all of it. And so often, like very little actually gets patched, and we have these like remediation backlogs that are minefield that are waiting to be exploited. So there's some interesting research that we were kind of like going through and reading as we were getting started around like current security tooling, kind of like missing 80% of exploitable bugs in production. Specifically, this research was around smart contracts, and it's interesting because like we're already seeing attacks by like bad actors that are hyper tailored, hyper customized, and where attackers are using like AI tools to go and exploit things, whether it's like social engineering or like actually finding vulnerabilities in code that is deployed in production. And so it's just like we should be using kind of like similar type of tooling from a defensive perspective. We all know security is always like a cat and mouse game where attackers are moving a little bit faster than defenders, and we kind of like go after each other. But these type of like exploits is already happening. It's not where I'm not here today talking about things that could happen. Also, and some stuff will happen, but I don't know if you guys like follow like the T-app exploit from a few months ago. T-app was like this app that allowed like women to disclose like some issues or like talk about some of the dates that they had, and in order to sign up for like the app, you had to upload your like documents, your ID, whatever, and just like a few months ago or a few weeks ago, actually, they got exploited, and people like investigated how the exploit happened, and it was clearly vibe coded, and all these women were like their ID were like leaked online, and it was a very vocal thing that happened on Twitter. I don't know if you guys follow, but these things are already happening, right? And like there's 91% of exploited crypto protocols that historically had gone through an audit, which is something that every protocol should do, but you should have we shouldn't just have that as your only line of defense. Lovable as well, which I'm sure you guys, some of you guys have used, like a few months ago as well, like someone found that there were some vulnerabilities that every project were pushing through Lovable, specifically around their security policies, which basically allowed like malicious actors to inject malicious code into apps that were generated by Lovable. And so everybody's like using these like these app for vibe coding, but there hasn't been much yet around like AI used in kind of like in security. And so this is going to change. Security kind of like moves a little slower generally than like engineering, but that cursor moment for security hasn't arrived yet, and we think it will be next in line. But regardless of whether it's almanacs or other tools, like LLMs are becoming like very promising at catching things today. And so like posted here a few examples like, of vulnerabilities from Sorbonne smart contracts specifically that we caught or some other AI caught that are examples of things that protocols and projects should be able like to obviously they should like fix before like launching. But this is an example of an access control issue in a pool that allowed anybody to go and unfreeze the pool. The second one is there was some unsafe index truncation in something in the protocol, and this is all stuff that LLMs have been trained on. And so like security is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Swiss cheese model, but this is like a famous framework in aerospace engineering, which is where I come from, where you want to layer, imagine like slices of Swiss cheese with kind of like the holes, and you want to layer as many slices as possible, like one after the other, so that, and in this case, these layers are security layers, so that even if one layer gets breached, you have like another like layer that like is past it for defensive purposes. And so like as you use static analyzers, dynamic analyzers, you do your audit, you do your bank bounties, like AI should be part of like this process, especially now in the age of vibe coding. And so I want to show you real quick like a demo, just like very short, of almanacs. In this case, it's a CI/CD integration, and so we plug into like PRs directly, and whenever you're pushing new code or your project is pushing new code, there's like detection that happens directly on GitHub, so it's directly integrated in like your software development lifecycle. And let me see if I can replay. There it is. No. All right, I don't know if I can replay it, but there it is. And like one important part of this is like not just detection, right? Yeah, like we have like the ability now to like patch at scale, like these like large remediation like backlogs. And part of it, like when, especially when they're like easy patches, should be like projects should be able to apply them like directly in the PR review like stage. And so we developed like this GitHub app that integrates in PRs and does the detection and also provide like recommendation and like patches directly on like in GitHub that you can apply in line, or when they're like more complex like patches, you can do like a one-click like PR generation that allows like to patch like engineers like to patch faster. Because that's one of like the issues like when you work with security tools always impact like two stakeholders in organization, the security like team and then the engineers. And if you're throwing a bunch of alerts to engineers, you're just going to piss them off, right? And so like we develop like this like a tool that is like ideally for both. It catches stuff, but it also helps like patching. And so today also like happy to announce that we are live in the Sorbonne Audit Bank. Thank you, Justin. This is the clapping moment, but today we are live in the Sorbonne Audit Bank. I don't know if all of you are familiar with it, but if you're not, it's a great initiative that SDF like started, where projects building on Stellar, building on Sorbonne, they can get subsidized like security scans using Almanas. They can get subsidized security like audits using some other great security providers here in the ecosystem. And so now we're live, so any projects can go on app.almanax.ai. They can talk to the SDF team to go through like the official like process to get like some of the subsidies for their audits. But it's great because we really believe that security is like about how many layers of protection you're like putting in place. And SDF has been like, this was announced 2 years ago, I believe, right, Justin? I remember like at my first Meridian, and I haven't seen any other like layer one really doing like a systematic approach to security like Stellar does. And so this is like really kudos to everybody in the ecosystem and like the foundation for like working on this, because this is what it sets the example for everybody else. And so this is me. I'm right on time. These are my information, Telegram, web, and Twitter. I'm going to be here for the next few days. So if you want to talk security or AI, this is where you find me. Thank you.